Hello, everyone. My name is Faith Borkowski, and I'm here today to tell you some facts about how to use the word WASP. We're going to address 12 frequent questions that come up about the manuals, Hornet, and word WASP. And I hope this will help you to feel confident when you use it. So, first question. Why we don't use technical terms like phonemes and graphemes. In these books, they are meant to be used by parents and paraprofessionals. Teachers, of course, can use them and do use them happily and successfully, but really anybody can use the Hornet or Word Wasp to help a student to read. And the books are meant to be kept practical and accessible for anyone to be able to use. So it's not really necessary to use technical terms as long as children understand the concepts. Next question. Why are there no pictures? Well, it is a program that's meant for decoding, that's sounding out words to be able to read, and spelling, which would be encoding. And the pictures are really unnecessary. We want them to focus on the words and the sounds in words. So using pictures are not a part of either one of the programs. The books are also meant for children age 8 up into adulthood. Anybody could really learn from these books. So they're not babyish at all. And they really are straightforward. So anybody could use these. They're fantastic for older children, teenagers. Anybody could really learn from these books. Next one. Many of you know the program Toe by Toe, and you'd like to know, well, what's different really about the word WASP? Well, the word WASP includes spelling, where Toe by Toe is just strictly for reading. So because it's a reading and spelling program, instead of getting 3 ticks or checks for correct answers, only 2 are required because you have that spelling component that you're working on. So they have 2 tries, 2 consecutive tries to get it correct. And that would be 2 for reading and 2 for spelling. So there's lots of practice and reinforcement. So that's why there's only 2 instead of 3. Next question. Why is it important to be looking at each other when spelling? And why must the student repeat the word? Well, you want a student repeating the word so that you know that they heard the word correctly. And this way they're not working on something else. You're also trying to pick up any types of problems that they might have. Some children have a hard time detecting the difference between voiced and unvoiced sounds. And you really want to be able to pick this up. And that's why you would want them to repeat the word. Also, looking at what the mouth is doing, where they could see you and you could see what they're doing, is helpful for both of you, but especially for the coach, so that you could really see what's going on and for the child to get that assistance. Many times they could be hearing something that's incorrect, but when they see a mouth moving at the same time, they are clear about what is being worked on. So you're always looking at the child is always looking at you, and the child is repeating whatever word it is that you would want them to spell. All right, this program includes vowel discrimination exercises, and it's come up Why is this important? This is actually something that I love about this program because many programs don't use it. And it works on what's called phonemic awareness, being able to differentiate between sounds. So, doing this will help children to become better spellers, to become better readers. And a lot of times, children have difficulty with vowel sounds. There are some minor differences, for instance, between an and an I sound. So being able to work on this in a very explicit way helps, and it's always tied to the letters in this book. So when they hear something, they're going to be writing it down. And I love that. It's not just phonological exercises that are random, it's always tied to something that they will be reading and spelling. All right, next one. Some people don't know patterns of spelling, or some people would call it the rules. So why is that addressed here? So, some people might think it's too much information, but, for kids who struggle, they really need to have very explicit instructions where the teacher is going over these generalizations. And that could be done often with similar pairs of words where they're able to read one word and then go to the next word, and they have to really look through the whole word left to right to be able to see those details in words. Many kids who struggle in reading and spelling are really not detail oriented within the word. They look at the beginning, they look at the end, they ignore the middle. And for spelling, they often miss sounds. So you want to make sure that they are really working their way through the word and having certain patterns pointed out to them, or where they could then recognize the pattern, the generalization, or as some people would say, the rules, is extremely helpful. Kids who can read well, they actually internalize this. They get it intuitively. They don't need anyone really pointing it out. But for those kids who need an intervention, it is very helpful. Okay, next question. People want to know how come there are all these low frequency words. And so, there are high frequency words that come up a lot in the English language, and then there are low frequency words. This program has a lot of low frequency words. Why? Because you want to make sure they're really decoding. If they've seen a common word often enough, then you don't know if they're really decoding or not. That's why some programs use nonsense words. These books do not have nonsense words, but they have words that do not come up very often, where for a kid who doesn't understand what they mean, it's like working on a nonsense word. But this is so important because many adults will see words that they don't know, and they have to be able to sound it out and then learn what those words mean. So this program, both programs rather, Hornet and Word Wasp, will use low frequency words because remember the point of the programs really are to work on the decoding and encoding, the reading, the decoding, and the encoding, the spelling. Okay. Some people say that their students have difficulty writing. So why is it necessary in this program to have kids write so much? Well, writing is multisensory when kids are saying the sounds and writing. They're looking at words, they're internalizing words, they're saying it aloud, and then the hand is an extension of that learning. And that is helping to commit it to memory. So by handwriting words, and there's a lot of research about handwriting, that when kids actually do the writing and saying the sounds, it's way more effective than just using a keyboard. Especially for younger kids when their keyboarding skills are not even adequate at this point. They shouldn't be rushed into jumping to a keyboard. They really should be working on handwriting. And this program is not a handwriting program, but all the spelling work they have to write by hand. And if kids have trouble with that, you could always use tiles, and a keyboarding can be used sometimes, but it's definitely ideal, and it's the preferred way to get kids to really commit these patterns to memory. So it is suggested to use handwriting when kids are learning the spelling portion. And you could have a notebook and have a record of this. All right. So why does everybody start at the beginning of the program? And some people say, well, I'm starting this program with a teenager or an adult. Why do I have to start at the beginning? Well, you know what? A lot of these kids have holes in their learning. They have gaps. And the only way that you're going to know where the gaps are is if you start at the beginning. Now, if you see kids are doing well with some of the earlier material, they're going to go quickly through this. So it's really just at a very fast pace, making sure that they know these very beginning skills. But, you shouldn't skip it. And both programs, Hornet and Word Wasp, you're not skipping. Now, if you start with the Hornet, you don't need to do everything with the same strength in the Word Wasp. You could fast pace a lot of the beginning pages until you get to the point where there's new information, because Word Wasp does start off with the Hornet information. So, that will go quickly at the beginning, and then you get right into the new stuff. But both programs require the coach and the student to start at the beginning. And I think we could all agree that that's wise, because there's a reason these kids are struggling. And usually it's because they do have gaps. And most people are really surprised. A lot of parents who use this program would say, I could have sworn that they knew this already. This is so surprising. But it's actually enlightening. And the record keeping in both of these books will help the coach know exactly where the holes are. All right, how come this book doesn't use sight words? Well, children will be working on their decoding, and it's really important for them to map those letters to sounds in words when they're spelling. And even those high frequency words, they're going to learn at the appropriate time when that piece of information is worked on. And what I love about these programs, they use these frames where they group words together that follow a certain pattern. And it's coming at a point where children are orthographically mapping. And that means learning the letter patterns that match up with sounds. And when there's something that is irregular or doesn't happen often, well, they're going to learn those types of words together. So it's not like they would get it in school sometimes where, okay, here are all your sight words and you just have to memorize it. They're going to commit these words to memory if they get inside the word and they learn how words work. and then they are writing this and working on spelling. So it's all being worked on simultaneously at the right moment in time. So it's not like high frequency words are ignored. They're just taught at an appropriate time when those patterns come up. Next, what about the schwa? Why is the schwa so important? So a schwa is a vowel sound that's in a weak syllable, okay? It's unstressed. So for instance, in a two-syllable word, such as wagon, it is spelled the way you would expect it to sound as wag on. So that letter O is actually representing a schwa sound. And so the sound doesn't match up with the letter that you would think that would be there. You know, if you're spelling phonetically, kids might spell it with an I, wagon, right? So it's really important for them to learn that the schwa exists. And in this program, they have color coding for all the different types of letter patterns in words. And so the schwa gets its own color, and children start learning that, oh, they have to pay attention to the schwa. And certainly when they're spelling, they have to be able to say the syllables clearly and to be able to hear each sound in every syllable in the word. And they will start to understand that this schwa is important if they want to spell words correctly. And when they learn this, it also helps with their fluency. Instead of getting stuck and just saying wag on, you know, I pull my little red wag on, they learn, oh, there's a schwa sound in that word. So I have to adjust for that. And then finally, you know, people want to know why they don't have syllable division rules in this program. Well, they are working on syllable division, but it's a flexible approach where students are learning how to break words up by recognizing vowel sounds. And then they are dividing words up and experimenting. And that's exactly what good readers do. They'll try it one way, and if it doesn't work, they try it a different way. But we really don't need syllable division rules in order to be able to read or spell polysyllabic words. So, you know, and this program does teach a flexible approach. So there are your 12 frequent questions that come up about the Hornet and word wasp. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you. And if you have any questions, we do have a Facebook group that I am the administrator for, and so are the word wasp people. It's called Word Wasp USA Support. Even if you're not American, we welcome everybody into the group, but we pay careful attention to the differences in the American versions of the books. Also, if you have any thoughts about ordering the book, make sure that you pay careful attention about which edition you want, whether it's the UK or the American ones, because as words get more complicated, there are differences between the British spelling and the American English spelling. So just be careful when you're ordering. There have been some issues with Amazon ordering. If you want to be safe when you order, you could always go to wordwasp.com. And if you order on Amazon, you should make sure it's very clear that it is the American version if that's what you want. So any other questions, you could always join the group and somebody's going to answer your question. Okay, thanks so much.